Take a look at these cucumber plants. This is why we have to do a planting in July. It's because all of the cucumbers that I just picked one, and it looks like it's been on the vine maybe a little bit too long, but you have to watch out for this because it will kill your cucumber plant. But not only that, these are short-lived plants. So what happens is they start to yellow, they start to get powdery mildew and different diseases. And over here, as you can see, I've had some worms get to this particular cucumber. So it is time to replenish these by pulling them out and starting a new batch. So cucumbers is a plant that, again, grows pretty fast. And if you are in warm season like we are here in Georgia, you can have upwards to 4 plantings in a season. So I'm going to be ripping these out. I'm going to harvest the last of the cucumbers. I think I see a couple more in there. And then I'm going to start on a new batch. Now, some of these look good. They still may look kind of green, but you see they're starting to mottle. So now's the time to start fresh. Another plant, one of the reasons why, is I'm going to be replanting squash. Now we have some that are obviously maturing on here, and it looks like these have gotten a second wind. Now they will keep producing. Squash are prolific plants, and they will keep producing squash until they can't anymore. But look at this bed. They're yellow, they've been chewed, they've had vine borers, and they are using their last bit of nutrients to push out their last little bit of fruit. So I'm going to be harvesting these and pulling these out, and then I'm going to be starting a couple of new plants. I think I'm going to plant these in a different location. I think I had, 4 in this bed. I'm only going to do 2. And I'm going to plant them next to the fence. So, yeah, so another squash I'm going to be planting. Let's go on over here. Is my red curry squash. So I'm going to be planting some of these. Now what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to start these in a seed bed, because I want, while these fruit are still developing, I want this vine to pretty much die back as much as possible. These fruit need time to ripen. And you see I still have a smaller one over here. And the vine's already starting to look a little bit sad, right? So that means this thing is going to do the most that it can. I have some under here that are almost ripe and ready to go. So I want this vine to die back. And then I'm already going to have some squash ready to go. It's going to take about, it's like 90 to 100 days with these guys. From the time that you plant them until the time that you can have a harvest. Or I may start them right next to, in this open area right here. So that while I'm pulling these and these are dying, I'll have fresh ones ready to go. Also, green beans. Now, I've got some jade green beans down here. Going to be planting those because they've been putting out flowers. But again, the plants are starting to get a bit old. We've already been harvesting from them. If you do succession planting, then you really don't have to worry about that. This dragon tongue that I have here, they are still going to flower, which means that they're still going to be producing beans. But look at the plants. They're yellow. You see the spots. This is why we want to do succession planting, and we want to start fresh. Now I'm going to pull these out, and I'm actually going to plant some probably near the fence line that are strictly going to be for dried beans. So I'm going to let them grow, and I'm going to leave the pods on the plant. And then I think I'm going to do some jade green beans right here in this exact same spot. And then I'll figure out what I want to do over there since I'm moving the squash. Maybe I'll put some more cabbage or something over there. But that is another plant that I'm going to be starting. Another one is lettuce. Okay. Lettuce will bolt. We all know this. As soon as it gets hot. Now there's some that will last a pretty good deal. Red Sales by Seeds and Such in Georgia. They're pretty good with handling the heat. But I mean, when we start getting into these 90 and 100 degree days, it's a little bit rough on these plants. And it's just hard to keep, unless you're growing it inside. It's kind of hard to keep lettuce. You have to continuously plant it, at least, you know, in intervals of every 2 weeks in order to have a pretty good harvest. And then some of these, they won't germinate outside. I mean, it's just too hot. You'll have to do it inside to keep them moist, and then they'll germinate. So lettuce is another one that I'm going to be planting, and I'll go over all of the different types that I plan on putting into the garden. Turnips and radishes, I'll be planting those. I still have some turnips in here, which is great. Not as prolific growing in the bed. For some reason, I get a better harvest growing them in the soil on the ground. So these turnips that I have in here, I'm going to be harvesting these, and then I'm going to be planting some in the soil line, just because, I mean, they just grew better. And maybe it's just this bed, maybe the soil, I don't have enough compost in it. It could be a variety of issues. But yeah, I just did not have the germination that I normally have, and I was just knee deep in turnips last year and the year before. So yeah, it's you just never know with gardening. It's always something different. So towards the end of July, I'm going to be planting once again radishes. They grow really fast, like 30 days. So I'll have radishes, and I'll be able to plant some all the way up into our first frost. Some other plants that I am going to be planting in July is going to be my cole crops. I'm going to be planting some Brussels sprouts. I'm going to be planting some broccoli, some cabbage, and I'm doing that to get a head start on the fall season. Now, okay, I know it's probably still a little bit hot for that, but I'm going to keep them actually in their pots as long as possible to protect them from the heat. And then I'm going to put them out in the garden under a sun guard, you know, one of those protective blankets that you use. They're green, the fleece that you can just throw over your bed. And right now, these are the cauliflower that you're looking at here. They have been out since what? Early spring. And yeah, they're growing a little bit, but not as much as I would hope. I still have one sprouting broccoli. This was the only one that gave us some sort of sprouting broccoli, but it was definitely not a success. So once I pull the onions from this bed, I'm going to begin again, and hopefully we'll have some broccoli and cauliflower. So I'm not sure if it's the raised beds or what, but sometimes I do just get a better yield with them being in the ground. And I'm feeling what I'm putting on the ground is sort of like the same dirt and compost that I'm putting in the raised beds. So not sure what that's about, but you know what? It's all trial and error. So rutabagas, that goes along with another thing that I'm going to be planting. You can plant these in intervals, 2-week intervals, all the way up into frost. So you'll have a spring harvest. Well, if you put them out, you won't really have a spring harvest. They take a while to grow, but you may get summer, fall, and winter. And some of them will overwinter. We like ours to get really big so that they'll store for a long time. Another plant that we're going to be planting in July that you can plant is tomatoes. Now, here are my indeterminates, and they are slow growers. They're going to be on here a while. I'm just now starting to get some green giants, as you can see here. And they've already started to get spots, which I have to spray for. Yeah, so I'm going to be buying some determinants. I'll show you which ones that I'm going to be putting out. And they're going to be determinants, and they're also going to be hybrids. Because hybrids, I think, are going to be the way to go with this heat. It's just way too hot, you guys, and we're already into just 90-degree weather every single day. So a lot of these vegetables, it's just way too hot. The okra love it, obviously. The okra is on board. They look at them, lush, green, happy. So no issues with them. So yeah, let's see, is there anything else that I've forgotten? Oh yes, so I don't have the seeds yet, but I'm probably going to be starting small watermelons. These are the Jubilees, which are those really big striped watermelons that you've seen me plant before. You want to check out my videos on that. And yeah, they're massive. I want smaller, more personal size watermelons that we can actually fit in the refrigerator. So I think what I'm going to do is get some watermelon, and maybe I'll continue them along the line over here, maybe in this area here. I have them growing in the cool shade of the shed, and their vines can tendril out so that they can stay warm and get that sunlight where the fruit will be sitting. So that is another crop that I'm going to be planting. And I may do carrots as well. You can plant carrots in July. I happen to have, if you remember, I have this type called Red Caruta, and they are by Baker Creek Seeds, and they are bred for this heat, this crazy Georgia heat. They produce beautiful, sweet carrots that have rounded ends, and they're picture perfect. And yeah, they germinate no matter what. They are perfect, and they are actually an heirloom carrot, but well worth it. So I think I've covered all everything that I plan on planting and starting again. Here's what's funny. You could start basil, all right? But I've already got basil growing here. I was pulling weeds in this walkway, and I was like, wow, that sure is fragrant and it looks familiar. Come to find out, it's my Thai basil that I planted over here last season, and it went to seed. And now I just have Thai basil, and I don't have to worry about planting any basil. And I was going to go buy some because I'm just kind of behind with my seeds this year for basil, but I was pleasantly surprised to just have, you know, just reseeded basil, pretty much wild basil just growing. Isn't that exciting? So let me show you what seeds that I'm going to be planting out here. All right, everyone, we are back inside. So I just wanted to show you exactly what I was talking about with the crops that I am going to be planting in July. So first one is radishes, and these are from Seeds and Such in Georgia, and these are the German Giants. Now radishes, you can pretty much sow these almost all year round just because they deal well with frost up to a certain degree. They don't freeze very well, but you can sow them as soon as the soil is workable, and they usually take about 30 days in which to develop. And so I planted some in the spring. I'm going to be sowing these again leading up into fall, and then at the end of fall I will sow them again, leading all the way up until we have our frost, which won't kill the plants, and I keep mine covered. But yeah, plenty of fresh radishes for your salads. Another that I said I was going to be planting, I'm planting my dragon tongue beans. Now we're going to be leaving the pods on the plant and in the ground. so that we can have dried beans. We tried the pods and they were they're good. They just take up a lot of room. And I mean, we prefer green beans. Just the flavor of them can't be beat. These are great, but I mean, to each their own. But we're gonna see how the dry beans are. Now, once again, these are pretty, but they do not stay that way. Once you cook them, they turn yellow. I'm also going to be planting tried and true are jade green beans, and these are really good, and there's still some producing. So now for July I'm going to be planting succession plantings. I had a few beans left over from Gurney's, which was their early contenders. I'm not so sure these are going to sprout because I've kind of had them for a little while, but I mean, they come up, so I'm going to use what I have. I try not to waste seed until I absolutely know they're not fresh. But certain things like parsnips, you kind of have to use them the year that you get them because they just don't keep very well. What am I planting next? All right, cucumbers. So I ordered these from Seeds and Such. These are Diva cucumbers, and I believe they are F1. Yeah, because that's all I'm trying to plant now, because I'm starting to realize, like I said before, that it's Georgia is just so hot. It's hard to grow a lot of heirloom type plants because they just can't stand the heat, and along with the soil and the viruses and bacteria, it's becoming a struggle. So as much as I love heirlooms, especially heirloom tomatoes, I may still stick with the heirloom tomatoes, but I think I'm going to start growing both determinate and indeterminate, both heirloom and F1s, but I'll get to that. So I've already put in the ground these Fairy Morse cucumber. They're the Garden Sweet burpless hybrids, and these are really good, sweet and almost no seed. So you definitely want to plant cucumbers. You can probably plant them up to 4 times if you're in a warm region like we have, and that's just because, I mean, the frost comes late. Ours comes in November, and then it could be again 70, 80 degrees up until December. So you can succession plant these, have cucumbers coming in all season long. The next thing that I'm going to be planting is tomatoes. Now these are determinates, so that means they ought to put out tomatoes relatively fast on short, bushy plants. I already have heirlooms out there growing now, so these are my F1s, determinate. So I've got a Goliath bush hybrid tomato that I'm going to be sowing, and then I have a Sunny Blue Ribbon. I haven't grown these before, but they were on sale, so I decided to give it a try. Haven't done really any yellow tomatoes this year. I've done my old reliable Green Giants, and then the Market Basket tomatoes, which are really nice. Very meaty tomato. Decided to try those, and they've actually been producing very well, but with the heat, you guys, my tomato plants look so sad. They are not lush and green. They're holding on for dear life, and somehow they're managing to put out some fruit, but they are not looking their best. So hopefully with these determinants, I'll get an even better crop, going forward into fall. Another crop you should definitely plant is carrots and parsnips. So I already planted parsnips early in the spring, and the ones that I have there, they've gotten pretty tall and they've already fallen over. So I believe I can just leave those in the ground, and then I can plant some more. So you can plant your parsnips because it's warm. They love warm weather. And I'm also planting these new Karuta, which, I told you were a Japanese style that did well with heat. Now I've already planted some, but because I did not keep them covered with mesh, they just crisped. The poor little seedlings couldn't take it. So once they get established, they can deal with the heat, but you're gonna have to keep them covered. I also have a yellow carrot. Hold on, let's see here. So I plan on planting this in the fall, though. these, what is that? Uzbek golden. These are heirloom. I haven't had any problems with growing carrots, but these are an heirloom type. But I won't be planting those until I do my video on what I'm going to be planting in the fall. But these are next up. But for now, I'm just going to get these new Karutas going. And I'm going to be sticking with my hollow crown, which, you know, I have both seeds from Seeds and Such. These were old from last year, and I ordered these fresh, and they have all come up, and I'm really happy the way these are producing. Another crop that you can plant are Brussels sprouts. And I got F1s here, guys. These are Long Island improved. So I'm going to be starting these from seed. And I also have the Catskills from Fairy Morse. Now, I didn't have much luck with Brussels sprouts. My seedlings just did not take off. So we're going to see how these do. I'm going to do both of these type to see how they work. Another thing also, whoops, you know what, I'm not going to do a flat Dutch. Yeah, any cabbage, I'm just going to wait because all my cabbages seem to be struggling. And I know it's like, okay, isn't Brussels sprouts kind of like a cabbage? But I think they're kind of in a league by themselves. Cabbage, you can grow relatively easy. Brussels sprouts are a pain in the butt. So at least that's what I've experienced, and I've also heard that from my neighbors who also, and they're farmers, and if they can't get Brussels sprouts to grow, then it's not just me, so I don't feel too bad. So another crop you can start now are Brussels sprouts because they have a long growing season, yeah, they're finicky, so you probably need to plant way more than you think you need. Another crop that I'm starting is rutabaga. Rutabaga grow. Ours, you've seen my previous videos, they can get really big, and we like ours really big. So we're going to be starting some of these. I planted some in the spring and they're doing very well. So I'm doing succession plantings because you can overwinter these and just keep them growing and just pretty much have them all year round. They take pretty well to cold weather and the frost. So, you know, just cover them up if they look like they're getting damaged. But we love rutabaga, so definitely you can plant these in July. And last but not least, summer squash. I planted some more early white squash. Since these don't take long, like most of these don't take very long. Let's see, I think, gosh, mine, maybe in about a month, I was already picking squash. They grow fast. And also, red curry squash, and these were some that I had left over from last year. I also ordered some from Seeds and Such that I used, and as of right now I still have some, as you saw, on the vine. So I'm starting some more that I'm planting, and that will take me all the way until the vines are killed off by the first frost. And then yeah, we'll have plenty of red curry squash to get us through the winter and hopefully into the hungry gap. Now these are 8 that I am planting. I probably said that I had 10. And that could be, I think I was going to plant watermelon or something, but you know what? I'm not going to do that. Hubby said we have enough watermelon and I really can overdo it, but really, can you have too many vegetables? I don't know if that's the case. But I'm going by my tried and true. This is the Farmer's Almanac calendar, and it just gives me the last days in which I can plant leading up into fall. And a lot of these veggies, even your Brussels sprouts and your broccoli, some of the ones that I mentioned before that I wasn't going to start, you know, you could probably, depending on what region you live in, could, you know, do succession plantings. I have found that the heat here just, it's not working. I barely get any Brussels sprouts, and the cauliflower are always struggling. So I'm going to, again, turn to all F1 hybrids, and hopefully we'll, through trial and error, we'll figure out what works. But those are all the crops I'll be planting in July. Please leave me a comment and let me know what you're planting. And if you have any suggestions on any cold weather vegetables such as brassicas that are struggling. I didn't mention I'm going to add some kale to this mix because it looks like our kale is starting to diminish. But once again, I'm probably going to be planting that when we don't have 90 and 100-degree weather. But be well, be blessed. I hope to hear from you. Thank you for your support, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.